Welcome back. Were you shocked by what was said in the Nova Labs video? It may be surprising to you that hacking encompasses much more than malicious attacks on a computer or a system. On the contrary, hacking is another word for creative problem solving. While in more recent years, hacking has been painted to be a very malicious and hurtful thing in nature, there are many different types of people that aren't interested in causing harm at all. They are interested in discovering how things work and how they can make things better. Of course, there are some hackers that unfortunately do mean to cause a lot of harm, and that do end up making the list for the types of attackers that exist out there in the world. It's important to note that hackers, in and of themselves, do not make up the entire group of attackers out there in cyberspace. In addition to hackers with malicious intent, there are many different attacker types that are associated with different sets of resources, capabilities, and motivations. Although there are very diverse groups of attackers, one thing is common throughout. A malicious attacker needs to have three things in order to succeed. These are a method, an opportunity, and a motive. If an attacker lacks or is denied any of these things, he or she will not be able to succeed. A method is the skills, knowledge, tools, and other things a person needs to start an attack. An opportunity is the time and access to execute an attack. And finally, a motive is a reason to want to attack in the first place. Your text gives a helpful illustration of these three terms in action. Here we see a burglar who is a malicious attacker who's attempting to pick the lock of the finance office at nighttime. The method by which the burglar is entering the finance office to cause harm is by using his knowledge of breaking locks. The opportunity, of course, is that the building is left presumably unprotected during the evening hours when everyone is home. And the motive? Well, the money is something that gives the burglar an interest in attacking. As your book demonstrates, computer security is not much different. Understanding method, motive, and opportunity can be a good way to think about potential threats. Reducing any of those dimensions can lower the risk to the assets as a whole. Now that we know a lot about threats and the people and things that cause them, let's talk about what happens when these threats actually turn into a reality. The damage that results to our assets is what we call harm. Harm can be characterized by 4 acts: interception, interruption, modification, and fabrication. In order to think about these types of harm more clearly, let's turn back to an important framework from our last discussion unit, which is the CIA TRIAD. If you remember, the CIA TRIAD, or triangle, is a very well-known framework that pinpoints many of the aspects that make our assets valuable to us in cybersecurity. When we're looking to prioritize our efforts on cybersecurity, we need to be focused on CIA: confidentiality, availability, and integrity. Of course, what makes an asset valuable to us should also be viewed from another perspective. These 3 hallmarks of cybersecurity are things that can be attacked and could seriously harm the overall value of our assets. What could happen to harm the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of computing assets? Plenty of things. Let's take a look at each of the individual aspects of the CIA TRIAD to find out. The first goal of the CIA TRIAD is confidentiality. The goal of confidentiality, if you remember, is to keep the bad guys out and the good guys in. We're not allowing the people who aren't authorized to view or access the assets that they shouldn't be able to have access to. With confidentiality, information is protected from the disclosure or exposure to unauthorized individuals or systems. When someone is able to view or manipulate assets without authorization, this is a clear breach of confidentiality. What does a breach of confidentiality look like? Let's use another familiar scenario in personal computing. In the age of personal computers, we have a lot of different online accounts that aid us in doing many different things in our everyday lives. One such account is an email account, which, as we're all very familiar, allows us to communicate with people that we work with people in our family, and others. Let's pretend for a moment that you have the phrase password 123 set as the password for your email account. You do not have any other safety measures in place, like two-factor authentication, to protect yourself from intruders. An unauthorized person could very easily crack the password that you've used for this account. Once in the account, they can access a lot of other sensitive information, including address book information about your friends and family, your banking information, and other things that are related to different accounts that you hold online. This is a very serious situation to be in. This type of an attack, where an unauthorized person gains access to an account that he or she does not have access to, is a direct attack on the confidentiality of that account. In fact, let's take just a few short moments to watch this video about the worst passwords of 2015. Are any of your passwords on this list? If so, be sure to trade it out with a much stronger password to prevent a serious breach of your data's confidentiality.